Episode 1: The Disappearance. Cougar, Tennessee. Population 904. The kind of town where everyone knows your name and your business. Emily Vance was the pride of our high school, 17 years old. Valedictorian. 2. B. Violin player. Never missed curfew. On the night of August 13th, she was supposed to come home after studying at the library. She never made it. At 10:46 p.m., her parents received a text. "Meet me at the old mill. Please don't tell anyone." Her mother thought it was odd, but Emily was a teenager. Maybe it was about a boy. By 11:30, they called the police. I was first on the scene. The library had closed at 10. Emily's car was still in the parking lot. Her keys were in the ignition, but she wasn't there. The old mill was an abandoned logging site 5 miles outside town. Teenagers used to party there back in the 80s, but it had been off limits for years. Rusted fences, collapsing roof, nothing but bad memories. We searched the area that night. Flashlights cutting through brush, radios crackling, calling her name. No blood, no signs of a struggle, just silence. And then we found it, her phone, face down in the dirt. Screen cracked, no fingerprints, no recent calls. Just the last message she sent, and one that never sent. This isn't what I thought. The next morning, the news hit fast. Teen girl missing in Cougar. Flyers, candlelight vigils, volunteers coming out of nowhere to search the woods. I coordinated search patterns. Dogs, heat drones. Still, nothing. No clothing. No tracks, no witnesses, except one. A boy named Caleb, who worked at a gas station near the main road, said he saw someone matching Emily's description around 11 p.m., walking down the road alone, head down, no shoes. When he called out to her, she looked at him. He said she smiled, but there was something off. He said, she didn't look scared. She looked like she already knew. I kept that detail out of the report. Didn't want the town to panic. Didn't want the Vances to lose hope. But something didn't sit right. The girl I knew, the one who volunteered at the animal shelter, who was applying to Stanford, wouldn't go into those woods alone. And yet, she did. Why? And who sent that message? There was no record of the sender. Not on the phone bill. Not in the towers. Just a ghost number. Untraceable. That's when we started looking at the people around her. The friends. The ex-boyfriend. And a man who had lived in town long before she was born. A man named Harold Gibbons. Episode 2. The Suspect. Harold Gibbons lived on the edge of Cougar, in a crumbling cabin, hidden behind 3 miles of dirt road and blackberry thickets. He was 57, unmarried, former construction worker. Most people just called him Crazy Harold. The kind of man you avoid eye contact with at the grocery store. But here's the thing. Harold used to live next door to the Vance family. Until about 2 years before Emily went missing. Then he just vanished, sold his house, moved to the woods, started living like a ghost. So when we found tire tracks near the old mill tracks leading toward Harold's cabin, we paid him a visit. It was Sheriff Danner, 2 deputies, and me. We rolled up just after sunrise. The place smelled like rust and wet fur. Harold opened the door without a word. His clothes were dirty, stained with something black and sticky, his eyes hollow, but alert. He didn't seem surprised to see us. Sheriff Danner asked him plainly, "Do you know Emily Vance?" Harold blinked, then smiled. "Not anymore." That set off every alarm in my head. We asked to look around. He let us. No protest. But inside, it was worse than I imagined. Walls covered in newspaper clippings. Not just local stories, national ones. All about missing girls. Dozens of them. Going back 20 years. In the back room, a wall. Sized map of the U. So, push pins. Red string. One circle right over Cougar. And in the kitchen, we found her shoe. One pink Converse. Mud. Caked. Torn laces. We took him in right then. Cuffed. Mirandized. Sat him in the interrogation room. He didn't ask for a lawyer. Didn't say much at all. Until we showed him the photo of Emily. Then he looked up and whispered, "You think it was me?" But it wasn't. I saw her too. She was smiling. But it wasn't her face. Silence. I leaned in. Whose face was it? Harold. He stared past me, then said, "You'll see. We all do." Eventually, he was charged with kidnapping, held without bail. Everyone thought it was over. The girl was gone. The weirdo confessed. Cougar could go back to sleep. But I couldn't. Something didn't add up. Harold didn't confess. Not really. And when I looked through the evidence, something caught my eye. The shoe. The pink Converse we found had a faded ink stamp inside. A brand label that hadn't existed in 8 years. Emily's shoes were brand new. So whose were these? And more importantly, where was Emily's? Episode 3. The mistake. Harold Gibbons was locked up. But something didn't sit right. I kept replaying what he said during interrogation, that it wasn't her face. At first, I thought it was just the ramblings of a lunatic. But the more I thought about it, the more it haunted me. A few nights later, I couldn't sleep. I drove back out to Harold's cabin. It was quiet. The door still boarded up. Police tape fluttering in the breeze. But behind the house, near the tree line, I found something new. Fresh footprints. Small, barefoot, leading toward the woods. I followed. They ended at a creek bed. And that's where I saw it. A face. Not a person. Just a face. Floating on the surface of the water. Pale and blank like a mask. I froze. It was Emily. But not quite. The eyes were wrong. Too wide. Too calm. Like she was watching me through someone else's memory. Then she blinked and sank beneath the water. Back at the station, I pulled up every missing person case in the past 20 years within 100-mile radius. Girls, boys, adults, all different. But they had one thing in common. Each of them had a final communication, a note, a voicemail, a text that said the same thing. Meet me at the old mill. And the number, always different, always untraceable. I called one of them, straight to voicemail. Then I got a text from a number that didn't exist. Stop digging, or we'll choose you next. I showed it to Sheriff Danner. He told me to let it go. Said the Gibbons case was closed. Said I needed rest. Maybe he was right. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd made a mistake. That we'd arrested the wrong man. That whatever took Emily was still out there. And it was watching us. waiting, changing faces, one by one. Episode 4. The Pattern. A week after Emily's disappearance, something strange happened. Another girl went missing. Different town. Same message. Meet me at the mill. But this time, it wasn't in Tennessee. It was in West Virginia, and her name was Grace Lynn. Honor student. Disappeared after school. No signs of struggle. She'd left her phone at home, but her parents found a note in her backpack. You'll find me in the quiet. That phrase sounded familiar. I pulled up every cold case that matched Emily's pattern, and suddenly, things clicked. 6 girls, all under 20, all within a 5-state radius. Each one disappeared on the 13th of the month. Each one had some connection to an old mill or forest site. Each one left behind something strange. A single shoe, a torn backpack strap, a journal with the last page missing, a message scrawled in water on a bathroom mirror. Different towns, different years, but one detail stayed the same. Their eyes. In every eyewitness account, someone always mentioned the victim's eyes in the hours before they vanished. She wasn't blinking. Her eyes looked wrong. It was like she wasn't there anymore. I started building a board. Photos, maps, timelines. The string kept circling back to one place. Bracken Ridge, a patch of forest that stretched across 3 counties. Unincorporated, unpatrolled. Home to dozens of abandoned structures, including 6 mills. Emily's town wasn't the only one near it. They all were. And the strangest part, Bracken Ridge didn't officially exist, at least not on any map post. 1992, like it had been, erased. I drove out that night. No GPS, just an old ranger map from the 80s. The woods were quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that presses in around your ears and makes your skin crawl. I stopped near an old ranger watchtower. Burned out. Half collapsed. Inside, I found a drawer. And in that drawer, a folder. Stamped with a symbol I didn't recognize. Inside, a list of names. All girls. All missing. A map of the mills circled in red. A note, handwritten, that said, they always come back here. It's where he feeds. That was the first time I saw the name. Victor Harland. And underneath it, just 2 words. Face Collector. Episode 5. The Collector. Victor Harland. The name wasn't in any criminal database. No arrests. No priors. Not even a driver's license. But buried deep in an old newspaper archive from 1978, I found something. A photograph. A community event in Bracken Ridge. 4th of July picnic. Families. Children. Fireworks. And in the corner, a tall, gaunt man. Dark clothes. Blank expression. Watching. Caption said, local resident Victor Harland. Longtime volunteer ranger. I dug deeper. Turns out, Harland worked in Bracken Ridge until 1983. Then nothing. No death certificate. No employment record. Like he vanished into the trees. Except he didn't. Because I found his handwriting identical in that Ranger Watchtower logbook. Entries dated all the way through 1997. One line kept repeating every few months. She came again, but wore a new face. That same phrase appeared in 5 other case files I reviewed. Not just girls. Campers. Hikers. A missing Forest Service dispatcher. People kept seeing a girl in the woods. Sometimes it was Emily. Sometimes it was Grace. But always, she was smiling. And behind her, a shadow. I visited Harold Gibbons in County Lockup. He looked worse, like he hadn't slept in weeks. When I mentioned the name Victor Harland, he flinched. Then he said, "That's not his real name. He was old when I was a kid. He's not a man. Not anymore." I asked him what he meant. He leaned in, eyes bloodshot. He's the collector. He finds the lonely ones, takes their faces, leaves the rest. And if you see him smile, it's already too late. Then he started screaming. They had to sedate him. Back at the station, I sat with that name, Victor Harland. It sounded like fiction. But then, I got a call. A hiker had gone missing near Coldwater Trail, same area as the burned watchtower. Only this time, there was a witness. A camper said they saw a man walking at dusk. Tall, thin, wearing a ranger uniform from the 70s. And beside him, a girl. No shoes, blank expression. And the camper swore they looked exactly the same, like mirror copies. I returned to the watchtower that night. Inside the logbook, a new page had been added. Fresh ink. She smiled tonight. Tomorrow, he chooses again. Episode 6. The face in the mirror. After the call from Coldwater Trail, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face. Emily. But not. It wasn't fear I saw in those eyes. It was vacancy, like someone else was looking through them from the inside. I started having dreams. Not visions. Dreams. Real enough to make me wake up shaking. In one of them, I was back in the ranger station. The lights were flickering. And there, sitting at the desk, was a girl in a red hoodie, face turned away. She didn't speak. She just pointed. To the mirror. I started avoiding them. Covered the bathroom glass. Turned picture frames around. Even shut off the screen on my phone. But mirrors are tricky. They find you, even when you're not looking. Like the one in my car rear view, where, for half a second, I saw someone in the back seat. But when I turned, nothing. And then, one night, I gave in. I uncovered the bathroom mirror. At first, I saw myself, tired, paranoid, broken. But then I blinked. And when I opened my eyes, it wasn't me anymore. Same face, same clothes, but the smile, it wasn't mine. And behind the reflection, where the tiled wall should have been, I saw trees, moonlight, and a girl, just standing there, watching. I stumbled back, fell, hit my head on the counter, and for a moment, everything went dark. When I came to, I was in bed, lights off, mirror covered again. Except this time there was something written on the sheet covering the glass. A single sentence, scratched in black marker. He only takes what smiles back. I left town the next morning. Took 2 weeks off. Stayed with my brother in Ohio. Didn't tell anyone. Didn't bring my phone. But even there, I saw her. In reflections. In glass storefronts. In puddles. Even in the microwave door. Sometimes she'd smile. Sometimes she wouldn't. But the worst part was what came next. The knock. 3 taps. Slow. Deliberate. Always when I was alone. Episode 7. The other victims. After 2 weeks off, I came back to Cougar different. People said I looked thinner, older, like something had followed me home or hadn't let me go. The day I returned, a package was waiting for me. No name, no return address, just a box. Inside, a folder, old, yellowed documents, typed reports, handwritten notes, Polaroid photos. At the top, in red ink, for those who still see, the file included 5 names. Not public, not in any report I'd ever read, but they matched known disappearances. Annabelle Ruiz, 1982, Michigan, never found. Clara Lee, 1991, Arkansas, vanished in the woods. Denise Keller, 1999, Georgia, left a voicemail. He's wearing my face. Naomi Thorne, 2004, North Carolina, last seen walking into the trees. Barefoot. Cara Fleming, 2010, Tennessee, meet me at the mill. Every case had one common detail. A mirror was found near the disappearance, sometimes intact, sometimes shattered, sometimes warm to the touch. One of the handwritten pages looked like a journal, dated 1985. I tried to follow her, but the woods changed. I walked 10 minutes and lost 2 hours. He wears their faces, not all the time, just when he's close. You'll know it's him when they smile too soon. I needed answers. I drove to the only person I knew who might help, an old park ranger named Lyle Jenkins. Lyle retired back in '96, moved to a cabin 3 towns over. He greeted me like he'd been waiting, didn't ask why I came, just sat me down and said, "You've seen him, haven't you?" I nodded. "Emily Vance." Another nod. He sighed, looked out the window. "You're not crazy. You're just late." Lyle told me about a unit called Project Hollow A now, defunct government group assigned to investigate wilderness anomalies, disappearances, identity fractures, mirror hauntings, Cougar, Bracken Ridge, and a dozen other towns had been flagged. But then, in 1997, the whole thing was buried. Lyle was ordered to destroy the files. He didn't. He saved one, and he gave it to me. A single page. Just a phrase. Non-human mimicry event. Host replication confirmed. I asked what that meant. He looked me dead in the eye. It means whatever you're chasing already looks like you. Episode 8. The Confession. 3 days after I met with Lyle Jenkins, I got a call from County Lockup. Harold Gibbons wanted to talk. He hadn't spoken to anyone in weeks. Not his lawyer, not the sheriff, not even himself. Until now. I drove out that night. The guard said Harold had been different, calmer, like he knew something no one else did. They led me into the visitor's room. No cuffs, no glass, just a table between us. He looked tired, gaunt, but sharp. The first thing he said, "You've seen the mirror." I didn't answer. He nodded anyway. I told them it wasn't me. They never listened. "But you saw her." I asked him what he meant. He leaned forward, voice low. "The girl in the woods. It's never the same girl twice. He makes new ones, stitch by stitch." He told me a story. Years ago, before Emily, before any of this, Harold had been hiking deep in Bracken Ridge. He got lost. No map, no radio, just fog, He wandered for hours until he saw a fire. Not a natural one. It was blue, cold light, no smoke, and standing beside it, a man wearing a ranger uniform, but wrong. Outdated patches, blank nameplate, no flashlight. The man didn't move, didn't speak, just raised a hand and pointed toward the trees. Harold turned to look, and when he turned back, the man was gone. But in his place was a mirror, tall, oval, sitting in the dirt like it had grown there. He looked inside, saw himself. Then, the reflection blinked and smiled. That wasn't me smiling. Harold whispered. That's when he took my name. I asked Harold what he meant by he. He didn't answer. He just slid something across the table. A folded piece of paper. On it, a list of names. Not just girls. Officers. Rangers. Locals. And at the bottom, mine. Mike Brackett. He already marked you, Harold said. But you haven't smiled yet. That's what saves you. I stood up, tried to walk away, but Harold said one last thing. You're not chasing him. He's letting you follow. Episode 9. The Return. After Harold's warning, I tried to walk away. I really did. I submitted my leave paperwork, packed a bag, deleted every file I had. But that night, something happened. My phone turned on by itself. No ringtone, no vibration. Just one photo. Emily Vance, standing in my driveway, smiling. I grabbed my keys, drove without thinking, right back to Bracken Ridge. I didn't use a map, didn't need one. The woods seemed to pull me in like they remembered me. And at mile marker 19, my headlights caught something. A person, standing in the middle of the road. I braked hard. When the dust cleared, she was gone. But in her place, a shoe. Pink Converse. New. Untouched by mud or time. Emily's. I left the truck and walked. Fog thickened. The trees closed in. And then I saw lights. Not flashlights. Not campfires. Lanterns. Dozens of them. Floating between the trees. Blue and pulsing. And in that glow, faces. Dozens of them. Smiling. Mine among them. Every victim. Every missing person, staring out from the forest like portraits hung in air. And at the center of it all, him, Victor Harland, unchanged, not older, not younger, just constant. He stood beside a massive mirror. The frame was black wood, twisted, almost alive, and inside it, nothing, just void. No reflection, no color, no light. Then he stepped aside, and the mirror filled with me, standing in the same spot, wearing the same clothes, only I was smiling, too wide, too still. I stumbled back. The mirror pulsed, and all around me, the lights began to blink red, one by one. And the forest started to hum, low at first, then louder, until it felt like it was inside my chest. I dropped to my knees, covered my ears, and I heard his voice not aloud, but in my mind. You're the last. After this, the forest will be full. It only takes those who know. I looked up, and he was gone. So was the mirror. So were the lights. Just trees. Just wind. Just me. But in my hand, was her phone. Unlocked, and on the screen, a message. Now you smile. Episode 10. The final shift. The next morning, I woke up on the floor of my apartment. No memory of getting home. No shoes. No phone. Just a torn piece of paper in my hand. It read, "Shift begins tonight." At first, I thought it was a joke. Maybe stress had broken me. Maybe I dreamt it all. But then I noticed something strange. My uniform. The one I had packed away months ago, cleaned, folded, never touched since. It was hanging on the door, pressed, stiff, ready, on the collar, a name tag, but not mine. It read, Ranger Harland. I tried to call someone. No signal. Tried to leave town. Every road detoured. Even the signs had changed. Welcome to Bracken Ridge. Population, 0. I went to the station. Empty. Dusty. Lights flickered when I walked in. But on the desk was a logbook. Blank. Except for the first entry. June 13th. Fog, heavy tonight. 1 camper missing. Will patrol Ridge. My hand was shaking when I touched the pen. But it moved on its own. Started writing. Same script as mine. Same thoughts. But not me. He's smiling again. I backed away. He was in the mirror. Same face. Same eyes. But he wasn't blinking. And behind him, rows of others. All the missing. All smiling. Their mouths open. But no sound. Like they were screaming in reverse. The lights went out. A knock came at the door. 3 slow taps. When I opened it, no one was there. Just a lantern, flickering blue, and in its glow, footprints, leading into the woods. My boots, already walking, already gone. I looked back once, at the station, at the logbook. It was still writing. Final shift, no backup. He's here. And then, it stopped. No period, no signature, just a blank line waiting for the next name. If you're hearing this, if somehow this story found you, listen carefully. Do not answer the knock. Do not follow the lights. Do not look at the mirror after midnight. And if someone calls your name in the woods,